Hello, welcome back to All for United. We have overcome Wednesday's defeat. Draw. That's a good start, isn't it? I'm getting the bloody results wrong. Jesus, that's an awful start, that is. But there we are. What I meant to say, yes, we obviously drew on Wednesday. We've overcome that on the away fixture, which I was confident that we were going to do anyway. Rashford, Garnacho, we're going to get into all that. Weghorst in the 10, that was a new thing that we saw today, but we're going to get into that as well. I'm going to drop a man of the match poll in the chat in just a second, so make sure you get voting on that. We have included Fred for those. If you're wondering why, obviously, if you go off ratings, he was the second highest rated from a United point of view, and he's also got the man of the match from Sky as well, so we thought we might as well stick him on there, but we'll have that discussion as well when we get to the end of it. Let's go right from the start then, and we might have Callum as well joining us in a short while as well. Just throwing that out there from the start. But let's go right back to the team selection, because that was the thing, I guess, was the conversation at the start. There wasn't a lot of players now are pretty much shoo-ins when you see the lineup and everything else. But Baines, starting with yourself, was there any surprise in that 11? Obviously, Maguire is the one that really sticks out. But is there anything surprising in that 11?
There's a massive surprise. Shaw and Maguire as centre backs. I mean, I think I messaged. Did I message you before as well, Connor? Just before when you asked me to come on, and I thought we're going to lose this. I don't know why, but Shaw and Maguire, who's never played as a centre back pair before. I know they've obviously played centre back, but it's different playing as a pair going to Elland Road in a game where Leeds have to really win and we have to win. So yeah, it was a massive surprise. Obviously, the rest of the team really picks itself. Judging by the suspensions and injuries that we've got around the pitch. And look, it worked to a T. And like you said, the man of the match polls and stuff will come out shortly. I actually think Shaw he's just brilliant. I know a lot of people said, look, he's been at the club for 8 years and this, that, and the other, but you can't ignore the performances that he's put this season and the season before that. I mean, last season's a write-off for everyone, but yeah, he's just brilliant. Shaw's my man of the match, but yeah, definitely surprises. I looked at that team and thought, okay, he's either seen something from Wednesday and gone, this is going to work, or he's gone, right, everyone needs a rest here, so I'm going to try and rotate and see how we get on. But yeah, look, I'm delighted. I don't like Leeds as a football club. Thankfully, I don't know many Leeds fans. So yeah, it'd be good to see them go down, and we've helped them to do that as well. So
indeed,
all is well in my books.
Some results not going their way as well, so they could be on
exactly.
the way down. We're going to get to this in a little bit as well when we talk about Shaw, but obviously Rory's saying it. Shaw probably started there talking about the Barcelona game. Varane,
can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Tony, for yourself on the team selection itself, and I said Maguire's the obvious one, but would you have made any change in the midfield at all? Obviously, Sabitzer and Fred was the go-to. I don't know. You're on mute, by the way, so I'm sure what you're saying is great, but you're unmuted right now.
Sorry, apologies for that. You know what? I'm surprised Sabitzer and Fred started together. I thought they were shambles on Wednesday together. They didn't look like a very good partnership. Probably Ten Hag's thought is they need to play together more. Even though Leeds are a good side, they're a fairly decent side to play against, especially at Elland Road. I think, for me, I would have probably started Lindelof at CDM, maybe, because I noticed that Ten Hag has been kind of, experimenting with that. I'm surprised Martinez didn't play, pretty much because of the fact he can't play on Thursday. Every other player I kind of had a thought of they would play today. So say, for example, Sancho at right wing, I thought would play today. I knew, Rashford's a shoe-in. I knew Weghorst was starting, even though Weghorst was kind of anonymous until the 60th minute. Today, I just assumed he'd play today just because of the fact he's our only really fit striker at the moment. And Malacia, surprised he was playing. It's weird because you get to announce these team sheets online on Twitter about like 11 o'clock, so you know what the team is 2 hours before it's meant to come out. So you kind of have time to process that kind of selection and kind of figure out the thought process of Ten Hag. Only Ten Hag knows why he chose that team today. And it was probably a mixture of things, like Rory said, Shaw at left centre-back, probably because of the fact he needs to get used to that position once again for Thursday. And Maguire probably to give Varane a rest, because I think Ten Hag's going to take the game on Thursday quite seriously.
It's interesting, Nick, because we'll start, obviously, we'll try and do this in chronological order of how the game went. But that kind of first half, I think Gary, or somebody said it on commentary, it wasn't Gary Neville, somebody said it on commentary, the fact that it was like Malacia was playing in the midfield at one point, and it was like a back three, and it was Shaw, Maguire, and
right at the very start of the game.
yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
it's really weird. Like I said, we're going to get into all of this when we talk about Weghorst and the 10 and all these kind of things. Ten Hag does like his crazy ideas, but at the moment they're coming off, so I'm all for that. But yeah, for me it was the Maguire one where I was like, oh really? Just because, as you said, I know
it makes sense now. Obviously, in hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it? But it makes sense now. Rotating the player in. Obviously, Maguire's got Premier League experience. He's not a bad look. He's going to sound controversial, but he's not a bad player. He's not a bad defender. He can do a job when he needs to. Obviously, we've got better centre backs. I appreciate that, but yeah, if he needs to come in for a game or two, then fine, he can come in. But yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. I'm not going to lie. Shaw and Maguire at centre back, probably the most. I think they're the least liked players at the club at the moment, probably. But yeah. Bit of a weird one.
No, it's a fair point, and well, we're going to get into Luke Shaw in a little bit as well because he is on the poll as well, and again, I thought was excellent. But let's start with the first kind of, I said first half, first 30 minutes or so, because it was quite a cagey first half. Is probably the way of describing it. Leeds had quite a few chances in that first. When I say chance, I mean half chance. There was one or two. You could argue clear cut in there, but it was a traditional. For me, it felt like a proper derby game. There was a few tackles flying in. Obviously, the crowd were really up for it on both sides. Basie, for yourself, was it just important for United just to get through that first 35 minutes or so, get through the first half, really, just kind of unscared? Because we know obviously Leeds started well in both halves. On Wednesday night, was it just important this time just to ride it out? Obviously, the crowd were always going to be up for it. It's always going to be a big derby game, and just see where we are kind of into half time.
Yeah, the thing is with Leeds, right, especially at Elland Road, they're just chaotic, and they love it as well. They're just fuck it, just go for it, fuck it, just get into them. That's what I think they say in the tunnel. 100 mile an hour, boys. Right, get out there, just get at them. And they're that kind of team. And obviously, under Marcelo Bielsa, they were exactly the same thing. They were chaotic. They ran everywhere. They were ragged. They are a very fit, aggressive team. And yeah, nail on the head. You have to soak it up. It is a very typical away performance. It was go out there. It's going to be hostile. You soak it in 15, 20 minutes. Don't make any mistakes. Don't make any rash decisions. Keep it all in, and then we'll start playing football. Obviously, that there were periods in the half where you thought, fucking hell, we're lucky not to be 1-0 down here. And there were some half chances, and it was like a goal-mouth scramble at one point as well. And yeah, it got messy at times. Yeah, and I think for places like that, I mean, Anfield brings that. Elland Road brings that. It's Palace at times brings that. I remember the old West Ham ground was like that, and it was just soak it all in for 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll go and start playing football. I mean, Fergie used to do it all the time. How many times did we go to Anfield, get played off the park, and we'll end up going and scoring like a late winner or something at Anfield and playing long balls over the top or whatever? So, yeah, it did feel like a classic Leeds United derby game. But look, it's just, I think quality shone through in the end. You could see that the changes obviously made a massive effect for us. Garnacho coming on, I'm sure we'll speak about him soon. But I think the changes were the big thing, because we were getting outplayed in parts of the first and second half. And I think when we made those changes, it was around the 61st minute, wasn't it? The subs came on, and then it looked like, okay, yeah, United looked like the only team that would go on and get a goal. And they did. So yeah, classic game. But soaking the pressure, typical away performance, and it's not a smash and grab, but it's more of a soak it up. We'll go get a goal later on and start playing our own football.
I was going to say, I don't know what the expected goals was in the end. I know Leeds were close to 2.
Leeds,
I
think Leeds was like 1.8 and we were like 1.1 or something like that. But again, expected goals is a weird one though, isn't it? It's like,
well, we had the crossbar as well, to be fair. And we had a goal disallowed, so I don't know if they count that into the. Obviously, they probably don't. Expected goals.
I need to read up on it. I mean, it is quite an intriguing stat, the expected goals, and I understand why people do it. But Leeds didn't look like that they were. Do you know what I mean? They didn't have like a clear chance where you think that should have been a goal. Maybe the one at Somerville when he blasted it over the bar in the first 5 minutes.
Somerville and maybe the Maguire block. You know when De Gea palmed it and then it came off. They were saying it came off his sides there. Yeah, that was a good chance for Leeds. To be fair,
exactly.
Leeds were the better. I think Leeds were the better team first half, but I expected that to happen. I didn't think we were going to be playing with the team we selected. I didn't think we were going to be playing on the ball football. I don't think Leeds would allow us to. I think we held in there quite well, to be honest. You know, a different United last season wouldn't have got a win today. I can tell you that. And I think we kind of got to take the good with the bad. We didn't pick up any injuries. There's some really hard tackles out there today. You know, no one got sent off. And we can look at it as we've rested Varane. Martinez is going to be looking fitter because he's played less minutes today than he would have done. Casemiro's back on Thursday against Barcelona. I'll take it as a good result, to be honest. So it's not a game I'm going to remember for months and then going, oh, you remember that game against Leeds? It was a horrible game of football to watch.
Casemiro is back, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back for Barca. He's suspended. Okay. He's suspended for Leicester. So I'm going to. Yeah. So I'm going to assume. Right. I'm going to assume that he's definitely playing on Thursday.
He's back.
Okay. You would imagine so. Yeah.
We need him back. We need him back.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question, why I mentioned expected goals, is because I said to these guys before we went live, I don't remember Leeds ever having a real clear-cut chance, apart from that one that Tony, you just mentioned, where De Gea parried it out, and it was either Shaw or Maguire that blocked it, the follower. It was like, I don't remember them having that many chances, and I saw a lot of people at half-time saying, oh, we're being battered, and it's like, I don't think we were. I just think Leeds may have had one or two opportunities, but then obviously we had that chance with Bruno, where it broke through to him, had that kind of half one-on-one, which the keeper pushed around the post. I mean, that was a frustrating time. So, like, I'm with you, Baines. I think he's got to score that, and I think he just, I don't know what happened there. You know, one-on-ones can be missed, anything can be missed, but at the same time, I'm like, it's good that we went on to win the game, but I think if we'd have drew that or lost it, we'd have been sat here now talking about that chance.
I was already celebrating. It doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those ones where you think, yeah, he's tucking this away, and I actually thought he was going to go near post, but he went across the keeper. It was weird. It's very unlike Bruno that. You know, it was shades of last season.
It felt a bit scuffed as well, didn't it? From what I saw, I know the commentators are going, it was a great save from Melia, but to be fair, watching it back, it was kind of really straight at him. In all fairness, it wasn't. Yeah,
it was weird. It's not like Bruno. He is a good finisher, Bruno. Obviously, you know, he scored a bag of goals, but yeah, very unlike it. I was already celebrating. I was literally like, "Goal! It's in." I know it is because when he's one. Well, to be fair, when any one-on-one player is like that, you put your money on the player, don't you? Unless the keeper makes a wonderful save. But yeah, no, credit where it's due. Good save.
No, yeah, we'll give them that because they're not having anything else off us for this season. Let's talk about the defence before we'll look at the second half and the goals and individual players and all this. But the defence as a whole, how do you think they did, Bainesy, overall? Because I said a lot of people going in on Maguire for some reason. I don't think he had a best game, but I also don't think he was bad. I just think he was just a solid 5-6, kind of performance from him. But that back line as a whole, as you said, we did get opened up a little bit. Malacia seemed to have the worst of that out of all of them. Obviously, we saw Wan-Bissaka come on late on as well.
Yeah.
How did you think that defensive line did? As a kind of, let's say, it's a makeshift back five, if you want to call it that, because I don't think we've ever seen those play together before.
Never. I mean, this is why I said I think we'll lose because of that back five. Look, at the end of the day, it kept a clean sheet, so you can't really complain too much. Would I play that back five again if I had the choice? Absolutely not. Shaw is best at left back. Martinez and Varane obviously come in. Delone and Wan-Bissaka, I mean, some people can argue Delone, some people can argue Wan-Bissaka. I do feel like when Wan-Bissaka came on that he's just completely shut down that whole Leeds left-hand side like he usually does. But yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, if you look at that back five before the game, you'd think we're conceding it and it'll be a really shit goal to concede, like from a set piece or something. But look, they kept a clean sheet. Obviously, Ten Hag saw something, and Martinez, I'm pretty sure he's banned for Thursday, so there's no need to really rotate and rest him. Or maybe he had a niggle or something, we don't know. But obviously, Ten Hag saw something in Shaw and Maguire centre-back partnership, and he saw something in. Obviously, Malacia then has to play, and I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka was ill, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was ill. Yeah, he wasn't expected to play today, but he did.
But he did. Yeah. So he was a bit ill. So all right, fair enough. Look, when you think about it, really, it does pick itself. Varane's played 3 games in 8 days, and we all know his injury record.
Yeah.
So it was probably smart to rotate him. But the Martinez one was a bit of a weird one for me. Maybe Ten Hag saw Shaw as the better centre back to be paired with Maguire because Maguire had to start. Maybe, but then also you have Lindelof there. Yeah, so it's such a weird back five. But it is what it is. It kept a clean sheet. I'm happy. 2-0. You can't really complain, really. I mean, that's why we're sat here. That's why Ten Hag's obviously out in Manchester doing what he does best.
It's interesting because so the reason I say it is that we've rotated heavily obviously in that back line, you could argue, and we've still kept a clean sheet and won the game. And like I said, I don't think, well, Tony, you might completely disagree when I ask you this question, but I don't think we were ever under that much pressure to the point where I thought, oh God, we've made a mistake rotating this back line as much as we have. We've come out of it, like I said, with a clean sheet and not fully fit, but you know what I mean, a rested Varane and Martinez. So what did you think on the back line? How you
I think the best chance that Leeds had came from our own downfall in a lot of ways. Like Maguire misplacing the ball, kind of being lackadaisy in possession, that gave him a chance, but he recovered well. So I can't really knock Maguire. He made a mistake, recovered for it, redeemed himself, and nothing happened. Same with De Gea. De Gea made a stray pass, which he does now and again, and that could have created a chance. There wasn't really, besides the one that Maguire blocked, there wasn't anything that made me think, oh, we're 1-0 down. De Gea made a smart save early in the second half. There wasn't really much to think about, to be honest. And to be fair, I don't know whether or not, I think the reason why Ten Hag chose Shaw today was purely to get him ready for left centre back for Thursday. I think he had Thursday in mind. I don't think it was because I know Maguire and Martinez have started together before the start of the season. Maybe that was a thought in his mind. These two can't work together. Potentially that. I think the first thought that I was having about Shaw on Thursday, because I think Ten Hag's really going all in on all these competitions this season.
Yeah.
And I think
I agree.
Yeah. But I'm surprised Lindelof didn't start over Maguire. That's the only thing where I'm a bit like, because I thought Lindelof would have been ahead of Maguire at the moment, just from history, from past games and stuff. But fair play to Maguire. He did, besides his passing, his crossfield passing, which was, I think,
do you think that's slightly match fitness though?
Yeah, it's probably
rusty.
Yeah. I don't think it was. I think the ideas were right because we've seen him before ping a 50-yard pass which has gone straight to Rashford's foot, Garnacho's feet. And sometimes, when's the last time Maguire played a full 90 minutes? Was it against Reading, maybe, or Charlton? It must have been one of those two games.
Yeah.
So more power to him, and he didn't really do much wrong. It weren't a world class performance, but it weren't anything that is embarrassing or anything like that. So I guess you take the positives from it all. Clean sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's a fair point. So I do agree with what you just said there. So I think he probably looked at Martinez and Maguire and thought those two together, from what we've seen, probably couldn't play that role together and put in a more of a common teammate next to him in Shaw. It's easier for Maguire maybe to adapt to that with Shaw there. But to be honest, let's just move straight on to Luke Shaw, one of the players on the man of the match poll, because for me he is really shutting up a lot of people. Now, me included, I didn't think, because I thought he's been here a while now and he's still not found his way into the team. But this season, we've seen him at left back. He got the assist, obviously, for Rashford's goal as well. And I just think Luke Shaw so far, he's adapted. Obviously, he's left centre back. I don't think he looks bad there either. It seems like he can play almost anywhere. And for England and for Man United, he just seems to be absolutely on top of his form right now. So, Basie, for yourself, how do you think he did? Obviously, at left centre back, and I said when he moved over to the left to left back, obviously got the assist for Rashford as well with a great cross as well.
Yeah, the thing is with Shaw, I think I know a lot of people don't like him, and to be fair, they're right. He's been at the club a long time. He's really only put about 3 or maybe 4 good seasons in him, which is fair enough. And I understand that viewpoint. But don't forget that was now 5 years ago, where he had that injury and he lost 2.5 seasons that way. The last 3 out of 4 seasons, he's been really good. His level has increased a lot. His output, his delivery, the way he tracks back, obviously defensively, he's been good. He's a ball carrier. He knows how to break the lines. He does everything that a left back can do and a little bit more. I think when the changes were made, he went over to left back. He got the assist, and he is obviously a better left back than he is a centre back. But how good is it knowing that if we have some of our centre backs who are out, he can just slot in and do a job? Let's not forget that this is the same Shaw that played in the Manchester derby and pocketed Haaland and De Bruyne. So I know there's a lot of criticism with Shaw, and I understand it. But then at the same time, if you're ready to dish it out with Shaw, you need to sing his praises as well. Because I can't remember the last time he's had a bad game. And that's probably at the start of the season against Brentford.
I didn't think he had his best game against Arsenal, but I don't know whether that was just the fact he was up against someone like Saka.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, and to be honest, players are allowed to have a wobbly 5 minutes or a wobbly half. And I'm not defending him in that. And
no.
I think people now need to realise that we do have here a solid left back. And he's I don't know how old he is now. What is it, 26, 27? She's probably older than that, isn't he?
About 27, I think.
Yeah, so he's still got a good 3-4 years. I think he's brilliant. And I know there's a lot of talk online about how we should change it, but we shouldn't be changing Luke Shaw. I think he's so good. Technically, he's so. I think there was an interview on Soccer AM with a United player. Was it Bruno? I know it's Rashford, and I think it was Tubes who asked him, who's your best player? And everyone was going to say either I think this is when Ronaldo was there, Ronaldo or Rashford or Sancho. Everyone said Shaw. Luke Shaw is the most technical player that we've got. And it obviously, it goes to show. I always feel like left footers are better technically. I don't know why. I've always thought, I'm a right footer, by the way. I'm not a left footer, but I always thought left footers are so technically sound. But yeah, I think he's brilliant. I think Luke Shaw is absolutely fantastic. And the fact that he can play centre back and adapts quite well, brilliant for me. He is my man of the match, definitely.
Interesting for yourself, Tony. What do you think, like I said, make of Luke Shaw? As Bain said, he's had a lot of critics, me being one of them. 3-4 years ago, I was one of them saying, look, he's been around for, obviously he had that, we all know obviously how bad his injury was, but left centre back, left back, he seems to be able to play kind of all over at the moment.
Yeah. He seems to thrive well under competition. I've noticed his best seasons have been under when Tellers came to the club and when Malacia joined. He's been exceptional once again. I mean, he's so versatile in the way he plays. Like, he can play really smooth at left centre back. He can also play really well at left back. He's doing so well and stuff. And but I think with Luke Shaw, sorry, I've just seen some of the comments. It threw me off what I was trying to say here. But with Luke Shaw, I think his most valuable position is still at left back. I'm sorry, I completely went on a tangent then. But Luke Shaw for me is one of the most reliable players, not only in the Man United team but in the Premier League itself. I think you're always going to get at least a 7 out of 10 out of him. And even those bad games, he still has these moments where look at today. He were probably man of the match in my opinion. If you're going to tell me one standout player, that cross he did right for Rashford's goal was exceptional. I can't get any more pinpoint than that. And that's what he provides. Yeah. He's such a versatile player. And he's someone that Ten Hag obviously trusts because he played him left centre back in the derby, and he's played. Malacia is a really good left back as well, by the way. Like, I'm not knocking Malacia. Malacia will end up being one of the best left backs in the Premier League in 2-3 seasons time.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think Luke Shaw's doing a really steady job, and I think it's going to be weird to transition because obviously when his pace does decrease, does he stay at United and move to centre back position? So it's an interesting debate to have, really.
I mean, yeah, you're bang on when you say he's consistently 7 out, and to me, I just can't rate Shaw any higher than I do now because I just think for me he's just exactly what I want in the footballer. He's obviously to me, I just love a left footer anyway because it's not you don't see that many good left footers in the game nowadays. So for me to have a left side, I love watching Luke Shaw's cross. It was always that thing when we brought Cavani in that Luke Shaw's going to be crossing it into Cavani. Obviously now it's Rashford. Obviously when Ronaldo was around, it was that kind of bending cross into the box. Ronaldo getting his head on it. So yeah, I just think he's been playing excellently right now. These guys are sorry, they're having a little bit of a chat in our private chat. If you're wondering what's going on,
I can't hold it in anymore. I can't hold it in.
Yeah. Something's tickled the lads in the private chat. So that's what. If you wonder, we've got the laughter out of the way now. It's very easy when you're doing these things. Obviously, it's live as well because we love doing live shows. When you get your on, you're talking away as Tony was there, and you get slight distracted. You come off the wagon.
It's so hard to regain focus.
Yeah, it's just honestly, I was on a comment and then I saw it, and I was just there. Like, I'm trying to keep a straight face here, and I honestly, I was trying for like 2 seconds, and I just couldn't keep myself. It's out of my system now, though.
Yeah, so there we go. But yeah, there's a couple of comments obviously mentioning Jose there. Yeah, I mean, where is that chant, by the way, as well, that we used to sing? Jose said that sure that song. Do we not sing that anymore? Yeah. I've not heard that for a while now.
I haven't heard
that
in a while, actually.
So yeah. I don't know what I was going to move on to now. I think it was let's move on to the midfielding because obviously Fred is on the pole.
Licker, it's your name, buddy. It's just your name. It's the best. It's one of the best YouTube names I've ever seen, and it's just it's just making me chuckle like a 5-year-old.
We've all read your name and we've gone, how are we going to get around this? Because you're making really good points as well in your comments. So it's like
Do you know what's worse? It's hearing everyone else laugh and know that I knew when I was talking then, Bainesy was trying not to laugh. So I was just looking at my curtains, just like, right, let's just try and get through this. But there we are.
Oh, dear.
I can't remember what I was going to move on. Let's move on to Fred and Sabitzer then. Obviously, I know Bruno's part of that midfield, but let's talk obviously about Fred and Sabitzer in particular, because a lot of people criticising Sabitzer of today's performance. How do you think they did, Baines? Because, again, Fred got man of the match on Sky. We've put him on our poll. But, again, a lot of people weren't happy with him either. So how do you think those two did kind of containing that midfield in and out of possession?
The thing is, it was that type of game where it was just absolutely chaotic. And I'm going to go on a whim here and say, if you put Casemiro there, would we have been more controlled in that game? I don't think we would have been. And controlled in a sense that I don't think... I'm not saying that if Casemiro had the ball, he would be giving it away and he's making rash challenges or whatever. I'm just trying to think that if you put Fred and then Casemiro, would we have won the game in the first half? I don't think so. It was just one of those games where it was absolutely chaotic, and Fred and Sabitzer they were just trying to get a control of an insane game at that time. Now, as for their criticism, I know Fred gets a lot of criticism. I thought Sabitzer played really well. He gets stuck in. He loves the challenge. He gets about a lot. I think he is a very good stopgap. I know he's on loan, but he's a stopgap replacement for Eriksen. A smart loan buy or a signing. So, yeah, I think Sabitzer's come in. He's played probably 2 of very tough fixtures. He'll probably play on Thursday. Who will play Thursday? Casemiro and... It might be Sabitzer or Fred, to be fair. But, I don't think the midfield pairing is an issue. I know on Wednesday they looked a bit like a duo where they hadn't obviously played before, but then Ten Hag really had no other choice. I mean, who else are you going to put in midfield? McTominay's injured, Casemiro's banned, Eriksen's injured. They're the 3 main midfielders that we've got, and then you've got Fred, Sabitzer and Bruno. So... he had to stick with his guns, and hopefully they probably they'll gel as time goes on. But I don't think they played that bad. I know there was a lot of wayward passes and there was tackles that you think, why are you challenging him there? Then okay, fair enough. But again, hindsight is a beautiful thing because at the end of the day, we won the game, and so you can kind of gloss over some of the performances and some of the missed passes. To be honest, who else do we play? That is my response. Is there anyone else that we could really bring on into that midfield apart from the academy?
I think Lindelof could play CDM. I know he's done it in the past, but I know Ten Hag's tried it against the last 10 minutes against the Leeds on Wednesday. But obviously, in a game where it's a must-win, he's not going to try and test someone who's never really played at CDM.
Exactly. And don't forget, it was 0-0 in the 81st minute. So is he really going to bring on Lindelof on the 75th or the 80th minute and risk this sub when he thinks, hang on a minute, it's 0-0 with Fred and Sabitzer here. They're doing okay. I'll make changes elsewhere. And then obviously, we went and gone and scored. So I don't really think he could do anything else as natural midfielders. But look, it worked in the end. I hope that time plays well on those both, and then they can form a better partnership and a better bond together in midfield, and they can go on and rotate together as well.
That's the key point you raise. That there literally isn't anyone else, bar Lindelof or Martinez playing at CDM. You've got Iqbal, who's obviously a young kid coming through the academy. You've got Kobe Mainoo that can come in through the academy. It's academy players, which I'm not against using. Garnacho is one of those, but
exactly. But you don't with academy. I know it's very much so. If you're good enough, you're old enough, but you got to pick and choose the games that you want them to play. Throwing in Iqbal and Mainoo into a game like this at Elland Road, they're going to get swallowed up. Yeah. They just will. So you have to pick and choose the games that you play with these youngsters. But it does. Unfortunately, it comes down to they're the only two that we've got, so we're going to have to play them and hope they do a job. And they did today, so fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, for yourself, before we look at the attack and obviously Garnacho and Rashford in particular, have you got anything else to add? I mean, Max is saying Sabitzer wasn't good. Jarvis is saying Fred and Sabitzer both had a weak game. What did you kind of think of those two?
I think that's a harsh comment to make about being poor. Do I think we're going to be remembering those performances for weeks to come about Sabitzer and Fred today? No, we're not. But I'm saying that game in the middle of the park, any midfielder in the Premier League would have struggled to have a really good passing game today.
Yeah, they would
because that was just the way Leeds set up. Leeds set up for that rock and roll sort of football, crush and grind, come for us, press against us. And, they both did what I like about Sabitzer is, even though he doesn't win every tackle, his tenacity is really, he doesn't give up on anything. And I think
he gets stuck in, doesn't he?
He gets stuck in and, he's really, he's really coming to this United team, and I know he hasn't really set the world alight in regards to obviously his passing range, his crossing ability, things that we've seen him do for Leipzig. But I think he's coming to this United team and offered a physical option, a tenacity and energy that we need at the moment. And I think, give him time, he will grow into this United team even more so. I don't know if Fred was man of the match, as Sky Sports said. I wouldn't have personally given it to him, but I'm glad that Fred had a better game than he did on Wednesday, because for me on Wednesday, he was the worst player on the pitch for either team. For me, he was just anonymous. So I'm glad he bounced back. Really happy for him. And we didn't speak about Dalot either. I thought Dalot looked a lot more steadier today than he did on Wednesday. So, I think it's just that rustiness, obviously coming back from injury and things like that, just to give him the minutes and stuff. But I thought Fred and Sabitzer, they weren't brilliant today, but they were serviceable. They did a job. And that's what we need them to do today. I think Fernandez had a bit of a quiet game as well, if you're asking me, in that respect as well. He missed a very good chance at the end of the first half that he should have tucked away. Melier makes an all right save. Realistically, he should be tucking that away. But no, there wasn't really anything that was either offensive or highly impressive from either three of them today.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, it's fair point. I don't know anything personally to add on the midfield, so I just don't. So I just think they were good. I don't think they were bad. I don't think they were great. I just think, as you said, it was just a normal kind of.
It's just an average performance, isn't it? 5, 6 out of 10. They got the job. It was. We won the game 2-0, and don't forget it was Sabitzer that played the crossfield ball over to Shaw, and then Shaw whipped it in for Rashford. And it's very easy sitting high up in the stand or sitting at home on your sofa watching the game and going, look, the ball's on. But it's just, they were all right. They were fine. And I can see them probably playing another game together as well as a squad rotates.
No, 100%. I mean, as a question for, would you have settled 17 points out? I don't like to downplay it a little bit, but I will just say they are 3 games behind us. So that
Yeah.
could.
But
drive
what you
the-
gonna
Yeah.
do when Eric Ten Hag and Man United come running for you, brother? Sorry, Hulk Hogan. That's it.
That was a good impression. I was wondering what you were doing to start.
No,
with, and then
because his
suddenly-
name's Hulk Hogan. As soon as I say like Hulk Hogan, you have
She's
to do the
singing a
Hulk Hogan.
song.
No, you have to do the Hulk Hogan impression whenever someone called Hulk Hogan is called.
I was wondering what you were doing, and it suddenly twigged who you were. Yeah, yeah, fair. Rory's saying looking for 100%.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely.
To be honest, I think just on Casemiro quickly, I think he's that type of midfielder that makes other midfielders play really well. We obviously saw his Madrid career where he had Toni Kroos and Modric next to him, and them two are completely different profile of players and level of players than Fred or Bruno even. But I think Casemiro is one of those players where I genuinely think that players look to the left or the right and see Casemiro and gone, yeah, I feel it. Yeah, I know he's going to cover me, so I'm all right. So if I make a mistake, I know he's going to help me out here, and you can then express more when you're on that pitch. I'm not sure whether obviously you guys play football or not, but when you have a partnership with a midfielder that you've known for a long time and you know their qualities, and you look next to them and you go, yeah, I'm feeling this game today because he's with me in the midfield. So yeah, I think Casemiro brings that out in players, and especially with Bruno, Fred, and Eriksen, they can go and do what they want to do because they know Casemiro is there. So I think we should see a different United side in terms of tempo and control on Thursday. Well, at least I hope anyway, because Casemiro is there.
No, 100%. I agree with that. Definitely, Casemiro makes everyone. It's one of those players you just want to play with, isn't it? If you're in the field. So, yeah.
You'll pick him in your father's side, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%.
He wouldn't even need to pay subs. He's that good.
Yeah. Honestly, he's so good.
But that's a question for maybe towards the end of the show, actually picking a five-a-side team. That's might something we get to in a second. Right, we'll talk about the attack then, because I don't want to get to Weghorst and the 10 and talking about all those things as well. But let's talk about the two goals. I'll combine them both together. We'll split it. We'll talk about the first one briefly first. Obviously, Luke Shaw's cross into Rashford. Another header, by the way, from Rashford. Something I've criticised him on big time because I always used to feel like he shut his eyes whenever the ball came towards him and he was jumping for it in the air because he'd either miss the ball completely or head it off in a completely different direction to where it wasn't going. But now he's looking like a proper striker who can got a great header on him. So Bainesy, I guess the question I think we've run out of words to describe Rashford and the form he's on and everything else. I think I saw earlier he is the best informed scorer since the World Cup on 13 and 15, I think it is, plus a load of assists as well alongside that. I mean, just talk to us about that goal and why obviously he's on the man of the match poll and just his performances right now, because like I said, I'm running out of words to describe how good he is at the moment.
I think I said this a few weeks ago against City in the derby, and we were talking about Haaland and him being inevitable. And me and Stu made the point that, okay, yeah, City may have Mr. Inevitable, but we also have Marcus Rashford, who is Mr. Inevitable for ourselves. So, mate, he's just been unbelievable this season. 29 goals and assists this season so far in all competitions. He just looks like a player reborn, especially from the player that we saw last season. He looks like he's confident. He's obviously worked on his game. He's got into the gym. He's worked on his fitness, and he's listened. He's more importantly, it's a credit to him because he's listened to what Ten Hag has said. And I think there was a pre-match interview with Rashford, and the interviewer asked him, what role has Ten Hag played? And he just said, he's just been brilliant to me. He's told me what to do. He's told me what to work on, and I've had to go out and go work on it, and I can see the reward. So I'm asking him more questions. What else do you want me to do? And obviously Ten Hag has come out and said that, I think, was it one of his first interviews, Ten Hag came out and said, you need to keep Rashford. We need to keep him because I can see big things from him. And, look, he's just a man on fire at the moment, and whatever he's doing in training, whatever he's eating for breakfast, just keep giving it to the boy because he can end up getting a silverware this year. The way he's playing. So I really hope he keeps fit. He looks after himself. He's just been fantastic. And I know, Connor, that you had a lot of criticism for him in the last couple of seasons. And look, I know you said that you've wrong, and that's fair enough. And sometimes when it is players like this, you want to be proved wrong. So yeah, I'm delighted for him. I stuck. I wouldn't say I'm the only one. I stuck by Rashford. I knew there was a player in there somewhere. And now a lot of people are eating their words, which is nice. But I hope he just continues it now, and we can win some silverware because he deserves it for this season.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm happy to be proved wrong. My criticism, like I said, I didn't think he could head a ball properly. As I said, I always felt like he shut his eyes when the ball was coming towards his head.
I don't disagree with you, honestly.
Isn't that everyone's natural response though when they're heading a football?
Yeah, but I know what you mean, but he kind of closes his eyes when it's like 5 yards away.
Yeah.
Where the ball is, kind of thing.
So that was always my criticism, and I just never thought he was going to reach the heights that some people were saying. But like I said, right now he's only behind, I think, 3 players in Europe for the season. I think it's Haaland, Mbappe, and I can't remember who the other one is.
Messi.
Is it Messi?
Hang about.
Oh, it might be Kane actually. Yeah.
Osimhen.
Let me fact check. Here we go. Top goal contributions in Europe, top 5 leagues. Yeah, it's Haaland 35, Neymar 33, Mbappe 31, Rashford 29. So only the 2 PSG and Haaland ahead of him.
Bloody hell.
Which just shows how how great of a season Rashford's had. As Rory saying, his best season was 22 goals, 0 comps on 21. I think Callum put in our social chat.
To be honest, I actually don't think he had a great game today. Saying that, I really don't think he had a great game. The changes were made, and I think he went up front, didn't he? And Weghorst played behind him, and that's where we saw runs in behind, and he was getting fed by Bruno, and then obviously the goal came. Yeah, so the changes helped him as well. Let's not forget that he was playing left wing and then right wing and he couldn't quite get going. Look, if he wants to go play striker and score every single game, then do it. If he wants to go play left wing and score every single game, do it. I don't care. But I don't think he had a great game. But again, you don't always have to have a great game to score a goal. So keep going, Rashford. That's all I say.
No, 100%. Jarvis saying here Rashford appears in balance. Earlier, he's taking too much responsibility and trying too hard. I still think there's an element of that. I've got to be honest. I still think he runs into blind alleys sometimes a little bit too much. But at the moment, with the form he's in, I don't blame him. Tony, for yourself, what do you make on Rashford's performance overall? Because I said I don't think he had his best game.
No,
but again, scored. So it's you can't fault him for that.
No, I mean, Rashford, I think it's the sign of a very good player is not doing very much for a large period of the game and then turning up out of nowhere and getting a really good goal to change the dynamic of a game. And I think that's what Rashford has become. Rashford doesn't have the 10 out of 10 performances every single game, but what he has given now is a potential goal threat every single game. He's so much more direct against defenders now. He's using his pace. His pace has always been his greatest asset, in my opinion, and his skill set. And he's using that now to his advantage. And Ten Hag's reaping all the rewards from this. I think for me at the moment, I wrote an article yesterday about the Premier League top 11. For me, right now, he's in the conversation for the best player in the Premier League this season. He's in the top 3. He's got to be in that conversation. Top 3 or 4. I think it's a toss-up between him and Casemiro for player of the season. But Rashford right now is just, you know what the sad thing is? I watch him play for United and I just think he's going to go to England in a couple of weeks' time for the international break. And it wouldn't surprise me if Southgate will play Sterling ahead of him. And it's just there, like, this guy is...
You know what, though? You know what? Fine, because he takes 2 weeks off.
Yeah,
he still trains.
I'm looking at it like that. I'm just looking at it from a personal standpoint. I'm looking at it from a personal standpoint for Rashford. And I think for me personally, it's so nice to see such a good... I know there's been talks in the papers about, a player that shall not be mentioned today, but there's like a good ambassador for people in this country, a good ambassador for Man United. And all around, we're seeing the world-class potential of him that we've been saying that he has for years. And, he's shown for us right now how much of a reliability he is. He's so reliable for us. And at the moment, we need to make sure he's as fit as possible for the remainder of the season because he's going to play a big part of what we like the cup final in a couple of weeks, the latter stage of the Europa Leagues against Barca and things like that. And then in the Premier League, he's been exceptional, and you know, I feel like he's not even hit his ceiling yet. There's so much more he can do.
Yeah,
You know,
weirdly, yeah, I agree with that. I don't think he has hit his ceiling,
no,
and that in a way is a little bit frightening. But at the same time, you're thinking, you know, this can be, you know, a season where, or even next season where he scores 35 goals or
Yeah.
40 goals. You know, he's going on that trajectory, and I really do hope he continues that, because he would just be absolutely fantastic for us.
yeah.
Southgate is incompetent.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't watch international, so I don't care for Southgate or England too much.
I hope he doesn't play him. You know what? I hope Southgate does the
From a
same thing.
personal standpoint, I hope he doesn't play and stays fit for us, because it benefits United.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, I'm looking at it from an England standpoint, and I know as a player, that's the greatest achievement you could possibly, you know, playing internationally, playing for your country, playing at major tournaments and things like that. And I know, while Southgate is still in charge, this player, he was arguably England's best attacking player at the World Cup. You know, but that's a
top scorer, wasn't he, for England?
He must have been. He was thereabouts. He was joint with Harry. No, Harry Kane. Probably Harry Kane. Yeah, but for me anyway, I think Rashford is second to Haaland at the moment for the best Premier League forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that either. Moving on to our other forward that scored, then obviously Garnacho got a lot of criticism on Wednesday night. I'm not entirely sure why. Obviously, it was fueled a little bit by his own likes on social media for whatever reason. Was obviously searching his own name on Twitter for those reasons, which, you know, I felt sorry for the kid. I got to be honest. I made my views on it Wednesday night, but as if yourself, he came on, scored a goal. He could have had another one. A bit later on, he just fluffed his chat. Got a little bit greedy. I felt he maybe could have passed it, but he went for the shot. But his goal himself, and you know, we keep forgetting this kid is 18. He's come into the squad this season. Not many people thought he was going to be as involved as he is. So what do you make of his performance? Obviously, only 30 minutes and not really too much to go off. But we've put him on the man of the match poll purely because he got the goal and pretty solid in those 30 minutes as well.
Look, there was two ways that after Wednesday could have gone. He could have engulfed himself in all that negativity and lost his confidence, or the other way, he goes, right, I'm going to get on that pitch and I'm going to score and go, fuck you to everyone else, basically. And I'm so glad it's the latter. Obviously, Ten Hag did a good job in protecting him and not starting him, because I feel like that if he did start, there would have been a bit more murmurings about, oh, I don't know about this. You know, he didn't have a good game, blah, blah. Sancho came in, did an okay performance. Then Garnacho comes on and gets his goal. The kid idolizes Ronaldo, and we all praise Ronaldo for his mental fortitude. Now, if he's going to take anything from Ronaldo's games, from Ronaldo's game, is obviously his mentality, and he's just brilliant. And the thing is, it winds me up when you see individuals who slate him. Now, every player is, if they're playing for Man United, they can't avoid criticism. I get that, but saying that he's rubbish and he'll never make it at United after a bad 45 minutes to an hour in one game when you're 18 years old, are you thick? Like, are you actually stupid? It's just, you know, it's so obvious that people just don't play football. All they do is watch. And I'm no professional. I'm not even. I wouldn't even call myself semi-pro. I'm just average. And I know, as a footballer, sometimes you just need dusting off. You forget about the last game, and you go on to next week, and you play another game, and just forget about it and grow in confidence. I just don't understand why you need to belittle these academy players. I mean, they did the same with Rashford, and he's come back even stronger. And I hope Garnacho does the same thing. And he's silenced a lot of people now with that goal. The goal, by the way, was fantastic. The first touch to get away from the Leeds player, that is brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Gave the keeper the eyes, went his near post. Oh, brilliant. I hope he keeps going. He's a fantastic player, and he will have up and down games, and that's okay. As long as he bounces back, that's fine.
I
Yeah,
think
go on, Tony, you go,
yeah, I
Shane.
was going to say, I think as people who comment on football socially online, I think we have a responsibility a lot of the time to realise that people, everyone has a right to critique, but there's a point of critique and then harassment and almost to the point of bullying. And what that rants and bants thing the other day about saying about Garnacho, are you a Man United fan if you're really slandering an 18-year-old lad who's just coming to the United team? Bear in mind the weight of a shoulder for any professional. Loads of professionals have said, look, the weight of the shoulders of the United shirt brought me down. And we're talking about a lad who's come up from the academies. He's been, look at the Fulham game, got us the winner. The performances he's come on, there's been games where he's not been a 10 out of 10, but he's 18 years old. He's going to grow into a player, and we have to nurture that. We have to respect that. And we have to just keep our mouths shut when, because he's obviously very influenced by what people say online. Looking at his social media and look these likes and things like that.
And his celebration today.
And you know what? I'm so happy for the lad because, the apology has to be as loud as the disrespect that people give to some, it's easier to say someone's rubbish, but I'm saying this from my sofa, never played a game of professional football in my life. I don't know anything, you know what I mean? But all I can do is, we can critique as best we can. But I think there's a difference between critiquing and trying to be fair with it, and then just doing things for the clout and just doing things for the sake of it, and just not realizing that there is a reaction to this. And I think Garnacho, like you said, Bainesy, the mentality he showed today to come on that pitch and in a game where we needed a win to close the game off. What a finish, like you said. Gave the keeper the eyes, and you know what, that there's a signs of a player in there and a mentality of an elite player, and more power to him. I'm really happy for the kid.
Yeah, I mean, I get nervous just walking out on any kind of football pitch when I'm playing, let alone walking out in front of 80 odd. That's what I think people forget. But just on that, by the way, we have got a special show with Tony or Mr. MU Jack on Twitter. If you follow him, a special show on the academy. Who I love talking to Tony because he's just a whole wealth of knowledge on the academy. So make sure you check that out tomorrow. That's going to be a great show. We'll talk about obviously Garnacho and other players that are shining in the academy as well, and also on loan because Hannibal's tearing out for Birmingham as well at the moment. So we've got a lot of good youngsters there coming in. So make sure you check that one out.
Amad Diallo,
Amad as well. So
Sure, like Thierry as well is meant to be really good as well for Bolton.
Yeah, he's. That's what I mean. We've got so many good youngsters coming. That's why I thought tomorrow is the best time to get this show in. So, yeah, make sure you check that one out. That'll be 8:30 tomorrow. And also Benny is back as well. So you'll get to see Benny's. He doesn't have a beard anymore, though, I don't think. I've not seen him for a few months, so I'm not entirely sure. But, so, check that out tomorrow. Right then, the last thing we'll talk about before we look at kind of man of the match and things like that then, Weghorst in the 10. Now, this, I put of our social chat, so this is more ludicrous than when Karthik came up with Jones in the 6, because at the time when I saw that, I was like, what the hell are we doing? Why is Weghorst dropping into midfield almost, and Bruno's out on the right-hand side? But it seemed to work again, and that'll be the last time I question anything Ten Hag does. So, Bainesy, for yourself, what did you think of that and Weghorst's kind of performance in the 10 role? Because it was such a weird one when that first came about.
It's the same thing I always say. It's the reason why Ten Hag is sat in the dugout and I'm watching football on my TV. He obviously has seen something. He obviously knows his players a lot more than we do. It was such a weird thing seeing this big burly 6'4" bloke sitting in that number 10. I mean, even as striker, he's a target man. He does look a bit sort of awkward, like an old sort of Peter Crouch kind of player. But yeah, it was so weird. And again, credit to him because he draws players to him. He takes the ball down. He picks the right pass, albeit safe. And he gets other players connect, and that's what we want from a target man. No, we need a striker that comes in sometimes deep, collects the ball, looks up, and go right. You have it. I've drawn out 2 midfielders or a defender, and there's players that run in behind. The amount of times that Weghorst came deep, received the ball, and you saw Rashford run round the back, and then inevitably Weghorst would give it to Bruno. Bruno would find Rashford. It happened so many times when that change was made. Would we see it against Barcelona? I doubt it. But it's a good little, a different approach for if we're chasing a goal in the last 15 minutes. It's a good approach to have. It was definitely a weird one when I was watching it. Was it who was commentating? I forgot who was commentating, but was it Gary Neville commentating?
No,
It was.
He did the City game,
City
didn't
He
he?
did the City game. Yeah, I think the co-commentator said it. Is Weghorst playing 10? Like even he was shocked. So yeah, it's a weird one. But look, it worked. It brought Rashford into the game. He put him as striker. He got his goal. And I think with Garnacho's goal, I think Weghorst won the ball when he was in midfield, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then he got the assist. Yeah, of course he did. So so look, it worked. So credit to where it's due. He made the change at Erik ten Hag, and he got his fruits of his labour. So yeah, weird one. But this is why I'm sitting on the sofa watching the game rather than being in the dugout. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, for yourself, like I said, because it's not the first time we've seen Erik ten Hag. He's trying out some all kinds of. I'm half expecting Tom Eaton to play up front in the next game. I've got to be honest. He's trying
David James.
He's trying some wacky things, isn't he? But like I said, I don't think he was that bad. Bruno on the right, I'm not a massive fan of, but again, it's working. So what did you think on that one? That kind of.
I think Weghorst is really underrated for us. I think people look at strikers and they think 20 goals. I think I think a striker's role, especially in the modern game, is a lot more multiplied by that. There's a lot more numerous frequencies they can do within the game, and I think what Weghorst brings is a lot of hold-up play and build-up. He kind of moved into the turn. It was a lot like Joe Linton at Newcastle, how he plays, where he's holding up the ball, making it for the wingers, giving space for the strikers to push forward. And I think
draws defenders to him.
And you know what's really good as well with Weghorst is the fact his defensive work is really good as well. Like he comes back for set pieces, and he's like a colossus in that. And I think because a lot of people, I was on the Twitter space the other day and earlier on today actually, and a lot of people going Weghorst is rubbish, and I was going, why is he rubbish? And the argument was he doesn't score. He's only got one goal. I'm there like, but look at the contributions he brings to this United team. Don't just look at assists, but I'm saying the build-up play before assists. He's involved so much in the goals we've scored recently. And look at Garnacho's second goal today. He passes it to Garnacho from winning the ball back. I think people are blinded by this whole goal stat and, Ronaldo fanboys, he's not Ronaldo. He's not Rashford. He's a very much a target man who holds the ball up. And, he's a very good professional footballer who presses really well. And I think, if we get to the end of the season, I think he'll come up good in quite a few games where we're up in the dirt, like the dogs, and we need someone to get us out. He'll be the one to get us a header and get us a last minute goal, things like that. I wouldn't bet against it.
I'm fully expecting Weghorst to go full on Ibrahimovic in the League Cup final. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, you reckon?
I don't know why. I just feel like he's going to get the winning goal or something in the cup final. I'd love that. Just he's only here on loan. If he can get us a cup final win, that would be
goal.
Something.
Yeah, that would be good.
There's a few talk about the title race. When we did drop points later to Palace and Arsenal.
We're not in a title race. Just.
I mean, it's a fair observation, but I say this when the whole if buts maybes conversation, because you could say that yes, but you could also say if Arsenal didn't drop points to us, and if Arsenal didn't drop points to Everton, and so on, you can make a case for anyone if they didn't drop points. We are where we are. City
have got a game against us, and Arsenal got 2 games against us. I always say that those games are wins. That I always put them as wins. So that basically means we're 5 points behind City or 4 points behind City, wherever it is, if they win their game in hand, and we'll be 11 behind Arsenal. We're not in a title race, guys. It's just, just make sure top 4 is done, and that's it.
Thierry Henry said it perfectly the other week about us after the Arsenal game, where he went, look, this is a United team with 6 months under Ten Hag and a Man City team and an Arsenal team with years with Arteta and Guardiola, respectfully. And the fact is, to even being considered in a conversation with these two is praise enough. Whether or not I have the same thought process as you, Bainsy. I don't think we're in a title race, but I think, comfortable top 4 is better more than what I could have expected at the start of the season.
I mean, at the start of the season, if someone said to me that we were third, comfortably third, X many points above Chelsea, X many points above Liverpool or Spurs or whatever, I'll be like, what you're smoking? Because I'll have a bit of that as well. So look, I'm taking this position. Of course I am. But to say we're in a title race is a bit far-fetched. Now look, if Arsenal lose their 2 games in hand and City lose their game in hand, and I think they play each other on Thursday, we'll look at the table again in about 5 or 6 games, because again, it could just sway a lot. But at the moment, I don't think we are. It would need an absolute miracle. It would need a meltdown from Arsenal, and then it would need City to drop 3 or 4 points in 3 or 4 games. And you don't see it happening. I just really cannot see that happening. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to start racing
again this season.
A good third. A good third is I'll take that and a trophy, of course.
No, 100%. I think I saw the stat or something came up earlier. I think Eric Ten Hag's on a 71% win rate, I think, with United at the moment,
Ridiculous.
Which is just crazy.
Absolutely
Considering he didn't get fully back, considering the injuries we've got, the fact that we're sat, it's just baffling to me. The fact that we're even in the conversation, I think, is just incredible.
He's just a genius, isn't he? He is. I'm running out of superlatives to talk about Ten Hag. Even when I think he's making a stupid mistake, it works out, and it's annoying because we all sat there thinking the starting lineup this morning. I looked at it, I went, has he lost a bet or something?
You know what it is? I actually think that's probably more PTSD from the last 2-3 seasons as a United fan. And then you think, oh my God, Shaw and Maguire, this could go really, really bad. But then all of a sudden, we're 2-0 up in the game and we won it. He's balled his best. He's a genius.
What's scary is this isn't even Ten Hag's full starting 11. What he wants next season, we're gonna. I can't wait to see what he brings in the summer. I really can't. It's going to be
hopefully some new owners as well. But,
hopefully.
Harry Kane, we're looking at you.
Yeah.
Well, I am anyway.
I'm looking at Harry Kane.
I'm telling you, we'll win the league if we get Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I'm saying it right now. We'll win the league if we get Harry Kane. I'm that confident.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Right, let's get on to man of the match then. I'll get all your votes in a second. So you got about 90 seconds or so to vote if you haven't already. I'll get to that in a second to see who you guys have voted for. But Bainesy, for yourself, who would you have gone for and why?
Shaw. I would go Shaw as the. Wait, you did say man of the match, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Shaw is my man of the match. Why? I think it's obvious. He comes in as centre back, does an absolute job. He goes left back, makes the changes, gets the assist. He brings the ball out well. He carries the ball well. He makes line breaking passes. He defends well. Yeah, Shaw's my left back. Shaw's my left back. Shaw is my man of the match.
He is our left back.
Yeah, he is our left back. Yeah, Shaw's my man of the match. Look, I think other players did also have a good game. I'm not going to discredit that, but yeah, Shaw, I think, for me.
Tony, for yourself?
It has to be Luke Shaw. Come on. Luke Shaw is absolute gold at the moment.
He's been brilliant. Yeah.
The man can't do anything wrong. And you know what? He's got to be in the conversation for the best left back in the Premier League right now. He's got to be in that conversation.
Who would you say is better? I'm not saying it in a deluded.
Yeah.
I would have said Cancelo before he went.
So I wrote an article yesterday on my page about my Premier League team of the season so far, and I tried to take my United bias away because I've watched a lot of Premier League football this season, and I did ultimately go with Zinchenko just purely for the fact I think Zinchenko's come to our Arsenal team and changed the dynamic of their defence, and also look at how much City are missing a player like him at the moment. So Luke Shaw was my second pick, but I had also had three other Man United players in there. So I thought people are going to read this and go, I'm just Man United
bias.
Yeah. I mean, and I tried really hard to try and keep it away.
Well, we are third and tinkering second. Yeah, so I mean, you can put a few United players in.
Yeah. Well, there's been some really good players this season, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was just going to say about Ivan Toney, strike. You talk about strikers and Harry Kane. If Ivan Toney doesn't get done for the betting, he has to be in consideration for the number 9 shirt.
For a move. Yeah, that makes sense. I think Ivan Toney is a great shout as well. Yeah,
I definitely think a lot of clubs are just waiting to see what happens. What happens
if that ban gets dropped or whatever happens to him, I think you'll see every single top team bar City go for him. I think he's that good.
Rory C, I completely agree with you with Rashford and Casemiro. Casemiro's in my team this season, and so is Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think they're the 3 that I'd have gone for so far, 100%. And there's just a comment that just says, okay. I don't know what that's okay, and that could be just replying to someone else. It could be to what you were just saying. I don't know what that's in response to. But there we are. For me, it would have been Luke Shaw, and I've just ended the poll. So, yeah, Luke Shaw won from the comments, 42%, Rashford 38%, Fred 15%, Garnacho 3%. Like I said, Garnacho was only on for 30 minutes, so tough one to vote him for full man of the match there. But yeah, Luke Shaw for me, like I said, it's just been exceptional. We could play left back, left centre back. We might see him up front next week, so who knows? But yeah, for me, has been phenomenal. I got the assist again. He's getting me fancy points, which I'm happy with as well. So all round a great performance there. You just mentioned your article, Tony. Where do you write for, out of interest? Just so
I've just set up a page. It's on. Bear with me 2 seconds here. I should know the name of my page. It's called Armchair Supporters. So it's just basically something I've just created just to write about stuff. I wrote an article about a match report about United versus Leeds the other day, and I'm also going to be writing a feature about United's ownership in the next week. But the team of the season was a really interesting one because, like I said, I had to turn off my United bias, and there was a few United players I wanted to add in there, but I really couldn't because obviously you have to look at other teams in the league.
You do.
But I think I made a fair decision in the end with who I went with. So yeah.
100%. So make sure you go and check that out. Everyone in the comments, if you are watching, obviously, I know we get a lot of people that watch on repeat as well from all over the globe. So make sure you go and check that one out as well. Bainesy, is there anything you want to shout out while you're here? Any Twitter?
No, just Luke Shaw is the best centre back in the. No, all good from my side. Obviously, go and check out Tony's blogs. I'd like to actually see what you write about the ownership.
Yeah.
I like the politics of football, if that's really a thing. Yeah. I like how a football club is run. I like all the financial side of a football. So this takeover stuff is really intriguing. I read up on it all the time. I do have a friend that works in the London Mayfair offices in London. So I do tap him up sometimes, but obviously I can't say much. But yeah. I'd like to see what you write about that next week, and hopefully it brings some good news because there's some bids all coming in or next week or something.
Well, yeah. So I've heard the Qataris are planning a bid on Friday the 17th.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's and I think all but now from obviously newspaper rumours that they're basically got straight head line.
They're number one, aren't they?
They're number one by some distance. I think Radcliffe has kind of put his foot down on 4 billion. Which is a shame because I'd like to have seen Radcliffe get in charge a little bit. Maybe we need to look into who from Qatar's buying it. I think people need to realise that there's a lot of rich people in Qatar. It's not just one person. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting the next few weeks. To be honest, at United, there's so much that's happening around the club. Obviously, if any of the United players are watching, I'm looking for a Carabao ticket still.
All of my mates are going, and it's just like, so annoying. But there we are. We will be doing a show on the takeover as well in the next few weeks because that looks like it's gathering momentum. So it makes sense to do one of those as well. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you both for coming on. Make sure you're liking the video and subscribing. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow night, 8:30, myself and Benny with Tony, Mr. MU Jack on Twitter, Academy. Just genius, as you'll find out tomorrow if you've not listened to him before. Obviously, we're talking about Garnacho and all the upcoming stars. Make sure you're following the women's channel as well. We'll be live at 7 o'clock tomorrow talking about today's 2-1 win over Spurs. They're back to the top of the league, so that's good to see as well. So that's all going great. So yeah, make sure you check out all of that, and we shall see you guys in the next one.